There have been hundreds, if not thousands, over the years of people that have taught me. I like the saying that everybody's teaching me something either to do or not to do. So before I go into describing who's my best teacher and why, a little background on myself. I'm number 5 of 11. I have 9 remaining siblings, and growing up in the middle of that bunch, a very loving family, lots of dysfunction, I felt lost and didn't think that I got the attention that I wanted or deserved, which was an impossible task for 2 parents with that many children. Anyhow, Mom and Dad did a great job. Before I started my awakening or walking on my own spiritual path, my predominant thoughts were negative. There's that stinking thinking thing again, and used to look at the word hope, or people that used the word hope as if they were weak, like it was a big bubble of air. Today that's not the case. Hope is a very powerful thing, but hope without action doesn't get me to anywhere that I want to go or make changes. Like I said earlier, there's been hundreds, if not thousands, of people that I would consider teachers or people who have helped me make a dramatic change in my thinking and actions. I used to listen to a radio show. I was living in New Jersey at the time, and I was listening to a radio show on every Wednesday morning. The guy introduced this guest on there, Sandy Wells. And she was coming to town that weekend to do a workshop. Of course, she was speaking English, but the language was foreign to me. And got a chance to call in and speak to her, and it just, I don't know, there was something inside of me that said, you need to see or hear or get with this person and find out what they're talking about. The work that her and her husband Rod were doing is called conscious loving. You know, at the time I was without a license. When I entered my spiritual path, I lost my license. And so without a license, being self-employed, I was broke. The workshop was in upstate New York, about maybe a 2.5-hour drive. To tell you the truth, it's been almost 30 years, somewhere around that time. I don't remember how all those circumstances came together, but I was at that workshop that weekend, and it was incredible. One thing that I noticed on the drive up there, Sandy had found somebody that lived close to me that gave me a ride up there. As we were driving up the New York State Thruway, I was falling asleep. Didn't want to be going where I was going. Well, what I realized from that is that when I feel resistance or tiredness coming over me and I'm about to be doing something that's going to benefit me, I think that's my ego wanting to shut down and not not stay awake. He's like, oh, I'm losing control here. I got to make this boy tired or something. But that was really interesting. But that started me on a several-year journey of doing a lot of workshops and some one-on-one work with both Sandy and Rod, and it was really beneficial. I can't even begin to fathom how many people have touched my life, and some in a very minute way, some in a very big way. When I lost my license for the second time, I had to go to some classes in New Jersey. I go and I check in at this place. There's a guy helping check in. His name was Tom. I had already started walking on my spiritual path, and I walked in and he says, what's your name? Put it down on the paper. I said, hi, Tom. And I said, I'm teachable. He looked at me and he smiled. He said, teachable, huh? Yeah, well, we'll see. You don't know who the higher power or God or the universe or whatever you want to call it. I call it a lot of things, and I mean them all. They all work for me, but there's a divine order, a force of good working in my life, and as I look back, it's always been there. And he puts these teachers, some people would say, angels without wings in my life that have helped me out. I'm in high school and wasn't a good student. Matter of fact, 1 year out of 180 days, I was absent, at least from homeroom class, like 140 times. I was out with the crowd that I hung with getting ready for school. We called it the green spot. And we were smoking them up before the classes, at least for me, before the classes I elected to go to on a daily basis. Only one thing kept me out of college. I said, what's that? High school. When somebody's been put into my life to share some kind of experience, strength, and hope with me, whether I'm aware of it or not, or I asked for it or not, and they're a teacher. And my first impression of whoever that person is, or my perception, is I don't like them. And I had one particular experience. After I got out of the service, I went to Ocean County College, and I took a class, Introduction to American Folk Music and Folk Guitar, and here comes this guy walking, first day of class, walking up the steps, all huffing and puffing, and, you know, I was already judging him to the max. And, you know, of all the classes, of any classes that I've ever done and attended, he was the best teacher that I had. His program was good. I did well in the class. I got an A in class. I think it was the only A I ever got. And you don't make this too easy for the guy to talk about that one teacher. There are literally hundreds of people that, and I may have not known it at the time, going through whatever it was that I was going through. One contractor that I worked for a while, his name was Jimmy Griggs, and he was an accountant and decided he wanted to be a contractor, and he was very good. He had some very good clients. So we did a lot of good work. One thing Jimmy would say is that I want to invent something that costs $1 to make and is very addictive. That has nothing to do with this topic, but I thought it was funny. One of the principles that I've learned along my path is that, you know, in order to keep something, you got to give it away. I try and do that in every area of my life. If I have somebody working with me, I try to do as my mechanic friend has done with me, is with what I know and what I'm good at and what I do. If there's someone there, even if they're not asking, I kind of explain the process of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. Sometimes in that situation, the communication can get skewed. Nino could tell you that. We had a moment, but we got that behind us. He was a good teacher for me as well, to learn to be careful on how and what you're saying. And that was a good moment. When I slow down enough and I really pay attention to what's going on around me, I might catch that moment and realize that this person is bringing something beneficial to me. I ought to give credence maybe, or show some gratitude, if not at least some respect to what's at hand. Geez, I just couldn't give you a little talk on just one person, because, you know, as I think about it, there's been so many. Going through this difficult time with this pandemic going on, look out there, see who strikes your eyes that, wow, they seem to be dealing pretty well with all this that's going on, and you know, maybe have a conversation with them, or just try to emulate what they're doing, and, you know, and that can become a part of you, because, you know, like I said earlier on, everybody's teaching us what we want to be doing or what we don't want to be doing. So there's teachers around all the time. Anyhow, again, be safe, be blessed, and by golly, be happy.